The McGuire Sisters. And Phyllis was the one who stood out, but she was also the most controversial, an affair with Mafia chief Sam Giancana.
Does this mean you're through with Sam Giancana?
No comment. Did you know Phyllis? Did you know what he was?
Tonight, Barbara Walters has the extraordinary story, how she turned fame into fortune, her unbelievable house, everything that's in it. Phyllis McGuire, the one in the middle.
I'm about to tell a modern-day Cinderella story.
I know, and I think everybody's looking forward to this one.
Okay. Once upon a time, in the early days of television, there were three pretty teenagers, the McGuire Sisters. And almost overnight, they found themselves the toast of television, singing their way into everybody's hearts. They were America's sweethearts. Then, as in many fairy tales, there was some heartbreak, some scandal. Yet today, there's a happy ending. This is the story of one of those sisters, Phyllis McGuire. When she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she got into a whole lot of trouble.
See the pyramids along the Nile. Watch the sunrise on a tropic isle. Just remember, darling.
They sparkle in identical everything, from hairdos to high heels. The voices as powerful as ever. They sound as good as they did almost 40 years ago. The date was December 2nd, 1952. The show was Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts. The response was to send the applause meter off the scale and the McGuire Sisters into instant stardom.
Just for old time's sake, turn back the hands of time.
Throughout the 50s and 60s, the McGuire Sisters were at the top of the pop music scene.
Sugar in the morning, sugar in the evening, sugar at supper time. Be my little sugar and love me all the time.
Exactly the kind of music that gave the McGuires gold record after gold record.
Sincerely, oh, you know how I love you.
They were America's sweethearts with their clean-cut apple pie image, even as they evolved from small-town girls to glamorous women in designer gowns making millions of dollars.
I want a mink coat connected to my shoulder bone, a necklace connected to my neck bone, a diamond connected to my finger bone.
In 1968, with this final appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, the McGuires called it quits, in part because of public criticism of Phyllis's private life. Dorothy and Christine retired to raise their children, Phyllis to work on her solo career, and much, much more. This likable and extroverted woman went on to create an unusual, to say the least, lifestyle for herself that few, if any, can rival.
The sound of money.
And it all begins with her amazing Las Vegas home, all 55,000 square feet of it. What do they say when they walk in here? A nice little place you have here, Phyllis?
Oh, always. Always.
You enter through an Arc de Triomphe, and that leads you directly to a 45-foot replica of the Eiffel Tower. Phyllis literally had to raise the roof to build it, not something you find in the average everyday home. Mm-hmm. Did they think you were crazy when you called an architect and said, I want to build an Eiffel Tower?
Yes, they really did, and every fleur-de-lis in this Eiffel Tower was put in by hand. But, you know, at this particular time, I was investing very heavily in oil and gas, and that's when it was $30 a barrel. And this actually reminds me of a derrick oil rig.
And everything came up oil for you?
Everything came up roses and oil.
So I don't have to ask you where the money came to do the house?
No.
Yeah. It didn't come from the singing with the two sisters?
No, it didn't.
It
was a good start.
The Eiffel Tower is the entrance to, what else? The French Room. The size of some hotel lobbies, it's filled with priceless antiques. The carpets are irreplaceable French and Persian. The walls are covered in rose damask. The mirrors are Venetian. On every table is a display of one-of-a-kind Steuben and Baccarat crystal, often in the shape of swans, a particular favorite of Phyllis's. Two extremely rare matching chandeliers that once hung in a Maharaja's palace flank a green overlay Baccarat 19th century crystal chandelier. In Phyllis's spacious and very feminine bedroom, you can't help but notice the raised marble bathtub. And again you find swans, this time as gold fixtures. On the other side of the bedroom are just a few of the many hats Phyllis collects. There is a professional beauty salon. It takes 28 in help to keep up this luxurious lifestyle, and security is very tight. An armed bodyguard is always nearby. The windows are bulletproof, and iron shutters can drop down with a touch of a button. Surrounding the grounds is a moat filled with real swans. Phyllis has become quite an expert in these birds and considers them her pets. She even sings to them.
Swanee, how I love you, my dear old
Do they hear
Swanee.
you?
Oh, they do, because the sound is magnified. So underneath the water, they love harmony and they love singing. They do.
It was quite clear by now that Phyllis is a collector in a big way. And nowhere was that more evident than in one of her 4 room-sized closets.
However, we happen to be in my favorite room in this house.
I can smell her. Her shoes alone fill one whole wall, floor to ceiling. If Phyllis sees one pair of shoes she likes, she buys at least 4 pair in different colors. The same with her handbags, and everything is listed in a computer.
I name all my clothes. This is the cloud dress. It won
The clothes are all couturier. In this particular closet are her Chanels. Another closet holds her evening gowns and furs. And when we finally settled downstairs in the room Phyllis calls her cabaret, we asked her about perhaps the most spectacular part of her collection. You know, I cannot talk to you now without remarking on how dazzling you look. And we asked you particularly to put those earrings on. I should point out that you don't ordinarily walk around in the daytime with diamond chandelier earrings.
No, I really don't.
You have a jewelry collection that is one of the most magnificent in this country. I mean, people talk about Elizabeth Taylor. Yours is probably much more so. And we asked you to put some of it on. Can we see the ring?
Well, this ring is really quite spectacular.
How big is that ring?
It's 34 carats.
34 carat, magnificent diamond ring.
It's a deflawless stone.
Which is the best. About what would that cost?
It could be from 1.5 to 2
million. You were married once, very briefly, when you were very young.
Yes.
And you've never married again.
No.
Why not? I mean, you can say you're married to your career, but your 2 sisters are married, have children.
Well, it was a horrible mistake. It was just really a bad experience.
So that burnt you forevermore?
It really, I've been close, but when it comes to really making what I think is probably the most total, serious commitment in your life, I just get cold feet.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
The fact that I'm prejudged because of the affair.
The affair with Sam Giancana?
Yes.
Sam Giancana, the man Phyllis says was the great love of her life, was one of the Mafia's most notorious figures, linked to the CIA plot to assassinate Fidel Castro, and to John Kennedy through their reported simultaneous affair with Judith Campbell Exner. He was shot to death in a gangland-style murder in 1975. He and Phyllis met in 1960, and their romance of many years almost ended her career. Did you know Phyllis? Did you know what he was? Did you say to yourself, I love him, this is the man that I want? Or did it just sort of happen without your knowing who he was or what he was?
When I met him, I did not know who he was. And he was not married, and I was an unmarried woman. And according to the way I was brought up, there was nothing wrong with that. And I didn't find out until sometime later really who he was. And I was already in love.
When you found out, though, did you try to break it up? Did you try to get out of it?
A couple of times I thought, because it was really hurting the career, and it was really breaking my parents' heart. And I also had an ultimatum from my sister's husband that if this didn't end, that the trio would be over. So that was very painful for me to think of. And so I tried twice, but it didn't work.
Because you loved him.
That's right.
And then the FBI was after you.
Yes.
Because of his ties.
Mm-hmm.
When the FBI investigated Giancana's alleged connection to drugs and racketeering, Phyllis was called before a grand jury to testify.
Does this affect your professional work, being called before a grand jury?
Oh, I certainly hope it won't.
You want to continue with your trio, don't you, Miss McGuire?
Oh, very much so.
Does this mean you're through with Sam Giancana?
No comment.
But she now says the act was blacklisted because of her association with Giancana. Did you ever hear him talk about John Kennedy?
He didn't burden me at all, which at the time I wouldn't have considered it a burden, I guess, but he was very protective of my not being involved with any of his whatever he was, doing. But Barbara, the largest city I had seen was Cincinnati, Ohio, and when we went to New York and got lucky, everything happened so fast and so quickly. That doesn't mean that overnight you become sophisticated and streetwise and that you know what's going on. There's no way that people can adjust that quickly.
Maybe if you hadn't been so innocent, it wouldn't have happened.
I sometimes wonder if I hadn't been so innocent, if he would have loved me as much. Maybe that was one thing that attracted him to me. I don't know.
The legacy today, you have a bodyguard who carries a gun. You have like shutters that can come down and bulletproof this house. What I'm getting at is it's not that you had security because somehow or other it goes back to the mob and Sam Giancana or any fear
Absolutely
of that.
not.
Yeah,
My life has never been threatened. I'm not afraid of the so-called mob. Why should I be?
Because people will look at the jewelry and the house and say, and they have, it's been, aha, Sam Giancana must have left that money. They don't
I've heard
realize
that 1,000
I'm sure you have.
times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did he?
Oh, no.
No. So it came about when you went into business? The money?
Yes, well, the McGuire Sisters were the highest paid act.
Yeah, but you couldn't afford all of this.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. But I guess that I do have an innate sense for a deal. If I'm going to really be involved in something and invest, I learn it. I really learn it.
Phyllis, as you look back, what was the best time of your life?
The best time was traveling with my sisters to London and playing the Talk of the Town and Sunday night at the Palladium and doing a command performance for the Queen Mother at the Prince of Wales Theatre. And Sam was there too. And it was like I had everything, And then, in life, the bubble bursts, but you have to pick yourself up and go on.
And may you always be a dreamer. May your wildest dream come true. May you find someone to love as much as we love you.
Hugh, I must say that all of us, our camera crew, our producer, Ellen Rawson, myself, we were crazy about Phyllis. She is kind, she is direct, she says it like it is, and we're very happy that they're having the kind of success they are because they are playing to packed houses now all across the country.
And the three of them are still very good,
Yeah.
So and it's a real dose of nostalgia to hear things like Sugar Time and You Belong to Me.
Yeah, they look good, though, and they sound good. So I just want to thank Phyllis for letting us in her life and her house.
Nice.